everybody. Welcome to the Fandom Post Radio podcast. I am your engineer, Kate, and joining me this week is Brandon.
Hello.
Kestrel.
Yo.
And Kane.
Hello, hello. My cat is here too, and we scared it with the clapping. So I hope everyone here is proud of themselves.
Yes.
Excellent.
Very.
Yep.
I expect my cat will bomb in here at one point, screaming her head off, so we're good. And we are here to talk about anime news this week. Kestrel went to AX this year, and as he is wont to do, and he has come back with all of the news, which is now like a week and a half old, but that's okay because it's still news. And that's actually pretty timely for this here podcast. So,
that's news to me.
Hot off the presses by our standard.
hey,
yes,
we can still discuss it, so you know.
Yes. There is stuff to talk about.
The first thing I want to know is which line was the longest, and what did you do while you waited?
It's okay, so like I was saying to them before you joined, I can kind of structure the AX news around my AX experience, so I can kind of go through what I did, and bring up the news that was announced at the things I was at, since I think I was at every panel that stuff was announced that I care about, so I kind of chose correctly there.
Nice.
But we do have some even older news, nearly a month old at this point, that precedes AX, since it's been a minute since we recorded. So to get into that, news of a series ending in over a month, which is now less than 2 weeks, which is a little series called Vinland Saga. The manga, after 20 years, is finally going to conclude this month.
Wow. That's crazy.
Is this the planned ending time? That was the first thing I thought of when I saw this. Was this always coming, or is it relatively sudden?
No, they've reached the end of the story.
Yeah, he's been talking about ending it for the last year or so.
Oh, okay, because I didn't hear anything about it ending beforehand, other than I think a couple times you guys had mentioned that the story is starting to wrap up, and then it just felt like out of the blue the news came late June. It was like, oh yeah, by the way, this thing's done soon.
I mean, that's kind of how all manga endings get announced. It's like, by the way, next chapter is the last one.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Most people don't have the One Piece luxury of like, in 5 years.
Yeah, well, Oda has also been saying in 5 years for the past 27, 28 years.
Yeah.
So how long would it be at that point then once it ends?
29 volumes?
Yeah, 29 volumes, yeah. So we get the 2-in-1, so odd numbers to the last one will just be a single volume for us, but yeah.
Well, how much of it do we have right now?
We're
caught up. I mean, we've got 14 dual volumes out, so once this last one comes out, we'll just get it as a single. Yeah, the anime has covered how many of those? Half? Like less than half?
Maybe like 6 of them.
2 arcs. There are
6 of
the series is basically
doubles.
4 arcs, so
Yeah, maybe a third to half of the story.
Yeah.
Nice.
But
hopefully we get more of
tough.
that.
It's like,
ever.
do I get that one final volume for those 2-in-1s, or do I start collecting the big boys?
Yeah, I know. That's always a problem when they start re-releasing in the fancier editions while the series is still ongoing, because yes, I have to get the final volume of those, but then I'm going to replace it anyway, so oh well.
Yeah.
So it goes.
You're going to be getting them hard covers.
I mean, they're both hardcovers. Even the standard edition is hardcover.
Oh, really? Wow.
yeah.
It's just fancier now.
And bigger.
Yes, and bigger.
Yeah.
They're big enough for me.
The new ones are like the Berserk Super Deluxe ones.
Which I'll note, I had this on the news doc originally and then took it off because we had so much bigger news, but Dark Horse did just announce that they're doing those for Lone Wolf and Cub, which will be the first time they are ever actually publishing it in its proper right-to-left orientation. Unlike fucking Blade of the Immortal, which they still published left to right in
That's
those
weird.
fancy $50 editions a few years ago. So,
Bizarre.
but yeah, anyway, what's happening?
That'll be nice though, because Lone Wolf and Cub is one of those like manga that you would go into a comic book store and they would like back in the day at least, like now they have like their own anime or manga sections, but back in the day they'd like reluctantly put like a Berserk one here or a Lone Wolf and Cub there, but it was like you'd maybe find like a scant third or fourth volume, and like I never bothered trying to collect those ones back in the day. They were pretty hard to come across.
Yeah, they've re-released it a few times. So I have like the omnibuses, but they're still like as short as normal volumes, and still left to right. So yeah, it'll be very welcome to have these.
I found a bunch at the library one time and purchased them there for $1.
Oh, nice.
Like it was a book sale, or you just took them up and be like, "I'll remove this from circulation for $1."
No, they used to do book sales. I think they stopped during COVID and never brought them back. But they used to be like, it was like drop off books. We sell them for boosters for programs or whatever the library is running. And somebody one year had dropped off a bunch of like the first 8 volumes of the little tiny editions of the old original, release of Lone Wolf and Cub. So they're sitting around my house somewhere. Those little tiny books.
Maybe that's what I should do with all these volumes I'm getting rid of. I should just like give the library near me them.
So I did with like most of my like the Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicle volumes I had. I gave them all to the library and they put them into circulation at the time.
Yeah, I should do that actually. I've been taking them to Book Off, but Book Off will give you like 1 cent. So yeah, might as well go to the library.
At the very least, what the library will do is, if it's anything like the ones around our area, is when they accept donations, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going into circulation. Sometimes they just hold on to it and then they'll put it in a book sale. But at the very least, then the money that they get from selling it, like the $3 goes to them anyway. So you're still helping the library in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, basically.
True.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how the regulations work with that, because I'm sure tons of people try to donate books and DVDs and manga all the time, and the library can't just be putting them all onto the shelves and stuff. So
yeah, when they put my Tsubasa on the shelf, I had specifically sent them an email going, "Hey, I have these, and do you want them in your collection? I will give them to you if you want them in the collection. The rest of the, it's like otherwise I'm going to, find another use for them." And they were like, "Yeah, we'll take those because it's an in-demand series and you have the 14 volumes of it." So,
gotcha, nice. Yeah, when we go to the book sales around here, I always laugh because you can tell, like when people have donated books and they didn't want to like put them on the shelves because there'll be like a whole picnic table full of just the Da Vinci Code.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're like,
and you're like, oh yeah. These are just people's yard sale reject books that no one wanted to buy, and then they just dropped them off here, at the library without telling anybody, and they didn't know what to do. So now you can get a copy of the Da Vinci Code for $0.05 and then start a fire with it.
It's good use for that book.
I don't know if it's like an organization or just like a community ran thing, but around my neighborhood, there's a couple of like book boxes that.
Oh yeah, the little libraries.
Yeah, just like a little take a book, leave a book thing. So I've like thrown a random volume here and there, and that seems like a popular way for people to just snag those right away.
Yeah, we have one, somebody put one up in our neighborhood near their house, and I went by it, and it's got some really classy stuff in it right now. I was like, oh, Catcher in the Rye, and something else. And I was like, I have like the 3 volumes of Whoever Steals This Book manga, which is like the full series. I'm going to throw that in there just because I think it's funny to have a book series called Whoever Steals This Book in there.
That's funny.
And I'm like, I'm not going to hold on to this. I'm planning on donating this anyway. I'm going to put it in that little free library down the street. And it can float around my neighborhood for a while. We've got enough teenagers. Someone will read it.
I've been meaning to build one in our neighborhood as well as like a little project, because Lord knows we have lots of books here too that either we don't read or I got them from book sales just because it was like, oh, a Robotech novelization. And then I never read it. So it'll probably go in there. Kate, I loved how you told that story because it made it sound like originally like you were just gonna start putting smut in that book box.
Oh, I've got smut too, and I'm like, I don't know how to get rid of this.
Because you're like, oh, book box, real classy stuff. I can't wait to fuck that up.
I've definitely putting in like some weird ecchi manga into one of those book boxes that I got in like a Right Stuff like super sale box, like mystery box.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
blind box. Yeah.
I definitely got some weird stuff in those before, and I was like, I'm not gonna sell this to somebody and show my face. So, yeah. Back to Vinland Saga.
Yes.
I really am curious if Yukimura has like a new thing he's been like cooking up, or I wonder. I haven't heard if he has like talked about a new series or anything like that. So
Yeah, I'm not aware of anything. Yeah. He's probably gonna just like chill and tour around a little bit more because he's been going to several North American events over the past few years. So hopefully more of that, and I can finally actually meet him at one of them. But yeah, he can take a year or two off.
yeah, no,
He's worked hard.
He's earned that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll probably those announcements when they start up the new series usually, they keep them close to the chest until they're like ready to start them up.
Yeah.
So was it just the anime that didn't do particularly well in Japan? I know we talked about that, and that's something that happened where part of the reason we got the season 2 of the anime is because it was so popular on the West Coast. Is the manga in a similar vein, or do they just like the manga a lot more than an animated version?
No, it sells about as well as any seinen stuff does, I think.
I think, seinen manga sells well enough, and they put all the resources into like the shonen adaptations because they're going to be huge hits, but like with manga it's just one dude drawing it either way, so it's not like they have to worry so much about it being like that everything needs to be the biggest hit. So they know their audience, they know they're going to buy a good seinen manga. It's just that many of those don't hit when they're adapted to anime, especially if they're Western themed in Japan.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
To be fair, it's not really the Japanese audience isn't really the market, I feel like, to grab onto a setting and a series like that. But hey, if it's good enough.
Yeah. Hopefully we can still get some more anime at some point. I don't know. I mean, obviously there's always more of a motivation to produce an adaptation when the manga is still going, because it's partially a commercial for that. And it's not a big merchandisey kind of series, so it's not like it's going to promote that much else. But yeah, we had a longer gap between season 1 and 2 than it's been since season 2 so far, so still some hope, I think.
There's always hope.
That one streamed on Amazon, right? That was like a Prime Video.
The first season was Amazon, and then the second season was like everywhere.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird situations where there's 2 dubs of the first season.
Even weirder, there's 2 dubs of the second season that were both released in the same region at the same time.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because Crunchyroll kept the Sentai cast and Netflix kept the Netflix cast, and they were released exactly the same time in the US.
That's crazy.
I don't even... yeah. Shit's weird.
Yeah.
Who's the better cast? I haven't listened to either.
I haven't listened to either. I've heard the LA cast is better, which isn't that surprising because most Houston dubs these days not great.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I haven't bothered.
Because most of the people that live there all moved to the West Coast.
Yeah. And I mean, they haven't had any money since 2008, so they've just been kind of doing the breakneck recording process. Not too concerned about quality. Yeah. Okay. So that is that. Next bit of news. Finally getting some more Kaguya-sama anime. So far, we only have a new TV special announced, but it does appear to be continuing on the story, which further complicates the viewing of that series, as you now have TV series, then movie, then TV special, probably back to TV series eventually. But yeah, we haven't had anything new from that series since 2022, so that is good to see that moving along.
I don't even remember if I saw the movie now that you mentioned that.
It was broken up into 4 episodes when it was, I think, both streamed and released on Blu-ray. So it kind of is more of an OVA now, I guess. But yeah, it was originally a movie.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the last thing I saw was the 3rd season. So great. I got some catching up to do.
I mean, I guess the fact that they split it into 4 episodes works better for the process of viewing it. So it's not like, like the Aobuta Rascal Does Not Dream series that returned this season with a new TV season after 3 movies, for example. And Sound Euphonium is even more of a mess with series and movies and specials and OVAs all mixed together and then back to series. So, yeah. At least this, like the Demon Slayer Mugen Train thing, they're like, okay, well, you can just go through and watch episodes now. You don't have to know that, okay, actually between seasons 2 and 3, there's a movie or whatever.
Okay.
But this TV special is going to be a TV special, I guess, so we'll see if that complicates things.
Did any of you read the manga? Do we know like how far along that is going to be into it?
I haven't read the manga past where the anime is, but I believe the anime has covered just over halfway. So,
okay.
Yeah, the big like status quo shift at the end of the 3rd season is like the halfway point of the series.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah.
It's more than I expected there to still be.
Yes, very exciting. Because, yeah, it is doing much more interesting things than most romantic comedies would care to do halfway through their run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another long-awaited continuation, this one from 2021 now. After Gundam G-Quux wrapped up, we finally got the announcement of more Hathaway. So the second of the 3 Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway films will be released this coming winter, probably, early-ish next year, and it is called The Sorcery of Nymph Circe.
Which sounds more like an Indiana Jones movie.
That's true. Indiana Jones meets the Odyssey.
So, yeah, I'm definitely going to have to rewatch the first one, because I watched this with friends, I think, if not right when it came out, within like a month or 2. So obviously 4 years ago, and then some once we get the ability to watch it. But I recall liking it. I mean, it suffered from, if anything, the show, like the syndrome where they show you like all of the action in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the movie is just kind of like the setup for the action-y bits.
Right.
Which I didn't mind. I mean, I knew that going into it kind of, because Hathaway's Flash is not really like a Gundam thing. Like it's in the universe, but you're not going to get like a ton of giant robot fights and stuff, because it's more about Hathaway joining a terrorist organization.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's also based off a novel, or
Hathaway.
like that,
Hathaway's Flash is I think, I don't know if it's a light novel, but it is not like a standard Gundam entry.
Yeah.
Where it has, I don't even know if it has like a manga or anything. I think it may have just been a novel / light novel, and they're just turning it right into these movies.
I'm sure they adapted to a manga. They've adapted everything into a manga. But yeah, it was originally a light novel.
Man, it's crazy that when this movie came out, I was like about Hathaway's age. And then by the time the final movie comes out, I'm going to be his father's age. Be bright.
That means you have full authority to slap him whenever you feel like it.
I will, yeah. Be like, what took you so long?
It is an interesting production delay and cycle. I mean, I'm sure part of it is just because they're working on so many things at once that they have to go at least somewhat sequentially. If I recall, that's how anime typically goes, which is why you don't get like new seasons of an anime that did gangbusters right away, because they're like, well, we're already doing this, that, and the other. But it's not like these Hathaway movies or anything look particularly good either. They have that art style, that like retro modern art style that I really like, but they're not super duper flashy or anything either. So,
well, I will point out that the first movie, even though of course they are continuing it now, the first movie grossed less in the box office than the first 3 episodes of G-Quux put in movie theaters. So
yeah,
wasn't that big of a hit.
This one has to be like passion project for the people making it, because like I don't think they shouldn't at least have expected this like Hathaway trilogy to be like gangbusters,
No. This is definitely one for like the deep Universal Century fans or old heads or whatever. Like, it makes sense that it does worse than G-Quux, if only because G-Quux is flashier and you can get into it without really knowing anything right away, at least.
Yeah,
because it's just like, look, it's cute girls fighting each other.
Maybe episode 1, yeah.
Yeah, and giant robots or whatever. Like, it's just and it also has a much more interesting like palette, like color palette and things, like lots of really bright colors, new 3D designs and stuff that I think are not that great, but maybe some people really do like them. And Hathaway is just like, here is a 26-year-old man or whatever. And then like that's it. You don't get a ton else.
Both are ultimately extremely dependent on you being a huge nerd of a show from the 70s.
Yeah, you technically need like double Zeta knowledge to really understand Hathaway. It's a little too much.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to be fair, you can watch the original series, the movie trilogy, or read the origin manga and understand everything you need for G-Quux, whereas Hathaway requires that plus Zeta plus double Zeta plus Char's counterattack plus Unicorn. Yeah,
there's a much higher barrier to entry for Hathaway unless you're the type that just watches it and then like looks up the Wikipedia articles as you go.
Which, I mean, there must be a decent audience that does that, because like people still watch Marvel stuff. Not as many people as watched Marvel stuff in 2019, but like it still does okay, and like Deadpool and Wolverine did very well, and it's completely impenetrable to anyone who hasn't seen every single Marvel adaptation ever made by any company in history. So yeah, I guess people just don't actually care that much about continuity.
Yeah, probably not. They'll still manage to they're gonna Palpatine Char into the third Hathaway movie.
Of course.
I mean,
somehow Char survived.
Yeah.
At this point, I can't say I'd like really have that big of a problem with it. I'd be like, yeah, why not? Who fucking cares?
Yep.
This show's just doing whatever it wants anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sure it also helped G-Quux too that, like Hideaki Anno was doing the writing, so he has like a built-in sort of people are gonna go see it because of that. And yeah, they also got hoodwinked with the whole like, this is new, and then it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, we should have seen that coming. Anno can't stop himself from like fanboying about things he likes.
Right, yeah. Anno literally hasn't made anything new for like 25, 30 years. He's only been remaking his own stuff or the stuff he grew up on. That entire time.
Shin Ultraman, Shin Kamen Rider, Shin Godzilla.
The new Gundam, like if you look at the credits per episode, it's literally only the pieces that take place in like the main UC that Anno wrote. Like he wrote episode 2, he wrote episode 8, or the first half of episode 8 that takes place in the main UC, etc.
So funny.
Yeah.
I like to think now that unless unless The Office doesn't quite work this way, he was supposed to write the rest, and then anytime someone else came up to him, he was just like, "Nah, fuck off," and then he writes the rest and just gives the other episodes to literally anybody else in The Office.
I mean, he is like the head of Kara, so he could do that.
Yeah, he is allowed.
Yeah, and he's remaking Yamato. Obviously, he spent like 15 years remaking Ava again. Yeah, that's just what he does. So
yeah, now he's just got to bring back what was it, Nadia?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind
Secret
of
of
the
Blue Water.
original Ava.
Yeah,
Which was already, I mean, yeah. Obviously, Nadia. this goes super deep. So, of course, Nadia was inspired by Jules Verne and 20,000 Leagues Under the Seas. But it was also originally a series conceptualized by Miyazaki decades prior, and then picked up by Anno, and then Ava was supposed to be the sequel to Nadia. And they couldn't get the rights from NHK, so Anno was like, shit, I have to come up with something new. So that's the only reason he's created anything new, because Ava would have been a sequel to Nadia, and Nadia was a riff off 20,000 Leagues Under the Seas as conceptualized by Miyazaki decades prior. So left to his own devices, I don't think Anno ever wants to make anything new, actually.
I think he's technically just a fanfic writer.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy.
The most successful fanfic writer. Yeah.
Yeah. I did see, I can't remember if it was a Kamen Rider or Ultraman actor. One of the previous actors commented on the fact that he was like, there's no need for this, like, these, like, Shin remakes. He's like, go make something new. And it's like, oh,
impossible.
Shit.
Oh, he also made, like, a short film based on Nausicaa, based on the scene that he animated in Nausicaa. Back when he first met Miyazaki. So, yeah, literally everything is tied to some prior property, except like his 2 weird avant-garde live-action films that no one really talks about. Those are the only things that were technically new.
Damn.
Yep.
That's crazy. We cooked him. Almost done after this.
Yeah, we'll put a big flashy Anno's done over a reaction JPEG of the 3 of us, or the 4 of us.
Oh man.
Can you put a cross in the background?
Yeah, obviously.
Anno
was
is so
the 18th
over.
angel.
Yeah.
Oof.
Okay, so that was
That's
done.
Yeah.
Which, appropriately, we're getting into AX territory now, and one of the first big events on day 1 was a big GQucks panel, which I did not go to, because I dropped GQucks, and then all of my friends could not shut the fuck up about it, so I went back and finished the whole series, and was not impressed, for some of the reasons described previously. And so I did not go to the panel, but all my friends did, and most of them actually, because they don't care about Gundam, but the lead Seiyu also voices the lead in Sound Euphonium, and they're all obsessed with that series. So, anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All makes sense now.
But yeah, what I went to, and we'll talk about my AX experience a little bit, but it'll mostly be with regard to the news. But for the things that there weren't really news stuff from worth mentioning, I'll just kind of briefly go over it. So first thing I went to was the Animego panel. So yeah, Justin Savakis' new Animego. Yeah, he had a panel at Otakon last year. I think this is his first one other than that. And I think he'll be at Otakon and Anime NYC this year as well. And he didn't have anything to announce at this panel, so not much to report from that. Then after that, I went to the Aniplex of America 20th anniversary panel, which was mostly them just kind of going through like some of their hits over the years, some of which they laid greater claim to than perhaps is deserved, because these were actually hits other companies put out, and then Aniplex got the rights back and didn't let anyone else have them, so they were like, yes.
They did a Netflix original.
Yeah, exactly. They Netflix originaled the shit out of it. They were like, you guys all remember when Aniplex of America released Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood in 2009, and it was a big hit, and no other company ever had anything to do with it. Yeah, so it was mostly that. They announced a couple minor things. They announced the Cyberpunk Edgerunners Blu-ray, which was very overshadowed by other Cyberpunk Edgerunners news the following day.
Yeah, I didn't even hear about that. I was so bummed there. I assumed there was never going to be a Cyberpunk physical, so that's cool.
There you go. That was the only big news I can think of out of that panel. Because, yeah, it's, again, Netflix and Aniplex, they're both very, obsessed with owning all the rights and not letting anyone else have any say in it. So it's always welcome when a Netflix property gets a Blu-ray.
Yeah, considering how rare it is nowadays.
Yeah.
And that would be one that of the anime they do make, quote unquote, that they release that one because it's like it's short, contained story. You don't need to know really anything about the game. Like, it just makes sense because you don't need to know anything about the game to watch it, but so many people played the game because they watched it and will probably buy that, because if it's like anybody else in my life that watched this anime and played the game, it's now the only fucking thing they talk about, and then I have to listen to it all of the time.
Damn.
You guys are awfully bitter tonight, gotta say.
No, we're going to be excited about
What else were we being bitter about?
People being obsessed with a thing that you couldn't stand.
I feel like I'm just being my normal self.
I mean,
just a cynical person.
Yeah,
we're not being bitter. Anno deserved to be taken down.
I'm gonna get a lot of shit for that.
My friends wouldn't shut up about the show, so therefore I had to finish.
It's true. No, it's true. All of that is true. Yeah.
Especially when one of them isn't even a friend. He's a guy that sits in the cubicle across from me and then just talks at me all day about how this is the fifth time he's played Cyberpunk. And then he shows me his water bottle with all of his Cyberpunk stickers on it.
Like, that's great, man. I'm happy for you.
Listen, I've done that.
I actually went the Corpo Melee only route this time, and you're just like,
Yeah, I go like, How many tickets are in your queue?
Yeah, I guess to be fair, it's not like my friends were like talking at me about it. It's just like a Discord, and they were just like constantly talking to each other about it. But it was just so overwhelming. I was like, all right, let me see if this is actually worthwhile. And I was less impressed with it as it went on.
About G-Quux.
About G-Quux. Yes, thanks.
No, you should have let it be murky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Edgerunner is great. And other things Anno has done have been great. Maybe only one property. Anyway, next panel that I went to
we're just crushing him.
I'm just actively giving my friends reasons to fucking hate me. Next panel I went to was the Mappa / Chainsaw Man panel. So they went through several of their properties from the past year or so, which there are about 20 of in a given year. But yeah, the meat of it was definitely about the upcoming Chainsaw Man movie, the Reze arc, and they premiered the trailer of that there, and it was pretty fucking mind-boggling, as I guess the first trailer of the series was. And yeah, I have read past that in the manga now, so I do know what's coming, and it is exciting. Yeah, and it's going to have another Kenshi Yonezu track that sounds similar-ish to the previous one. We talked about that a little bit, but yeah, that's about it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm super excited for this movie. I don't know why it feels like this. I know a lot of these big properties, they take a while to get through, but I don't know. I just feel like I finished part 1 so long ago, and part 2 of Chainsaw Man manga is also seemingly maybe gonna be coming to a finale. Not super soon, but it's on the horizon, and it's like we're still like halfway through part 1 animated wise, so still just like boggles my mind that there's some people that still don't know how the first part ends.
Right.
They're anime only, and I'm like, oh shit, dude.
Yeah, I have read slightly into part 2, so I know all of part 1 at least, but yeah, it's definitely, I mean, MAPPA's got so much on their plate, and it's not like the first season was a huge hit on the level of the big Jump titles, and they put a lot into the series, and they are the entire production committee for it. So, yeah. It's taking a minute.
Yeah, but I'm like you said, that newest trailer like looks insane. So I'll gladly wait if that's what they're gonna pump out.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so next panel I went to was the Ghost in the Shell panel for the new Science Saru animation project. And it's kind of like they're really one, going back to the original manga for this adaptation more than has ever been done before, and two, they're really kind of like, despite the fact that this is the first adaptation to ever not be Production IG, they're really leaning into all of the adaptations by Production IG for some reason. So all of the marketing is like going through every single adaptation that has existed before, and then yes, we're landing on this one now. New studio, much more in line with the manga, seemingly, certainly aesthetically. It's the first time it's ever really looked like Shiro Masamune's designs. And yeah, there wasn't a whole ton. They like made a big deal about the new logo, which is like, oh, a logo, neat.
Dude, they are really teasing it. Like, they have not shown anything.
Yeah, you have one key visual. Motoko looks like she's from the manga, but anime form. That's about it.
I'm starving for some actual footage of that.
I want to know how much of it's going to be porn.
Right. If they're going back to the original that much. Yeah, they'll probably cut out that bit a little bit.
Censorship.
I know.
That they don't want the lesbian orgy on the sailboat in virtual reality?
I mean, hey, Science Saru, they pulled off Devilman Crybaby. Like, maybe they're gonna go kooky with it.
They can do some fraction of what the manga did. Probably not all the way. Has that scene been included in all the subsequent re-releases?
I have no idea.
Because, yeah, I feel like that would be something they might cut back on eventually. I know they have in the US, but I don't know about Japan.
I'm just glad the design looks more like the manga. Not that I have a problem with how the movie is. I like how the movies and all the other, subsequent properties look, but I remember buying, because I have that 3-book Kodansha set, the hardcover set, and I bought it from, I think, Amazon a long time ago, thinking it was going to look like, the movie or Standalone Complex or whatever, because I just bought it. I didn't really look at it because it was just on sale, and I put it in cart and boom, bought it because I'm an American and that's how we work. But I got the book and was reading it and I was enjoying it, but it was crazy how much different everybody looked and how much, I don't know, almost kind of 90s bubblier they almost looked, like not as angular in a lot of ways. And it's kind of nice seeing at least, aesthetically a show that's going to match that look, because it, like Kestrel, you had said, we out of all the properties, the Standalone Complexes, the movies, those weird CGI ones, the design never looked like the actual source material.
Yeah,
Mamoru Oshii had that franchise in a stranglehold.
But I mean, all of the previous adaptations did look very different from each other, even though they were all production IG. They all had pretty distinct aesthetics from their respective teams. But yeah, no one ever bothered to try to make it look like the manga.
Which I feel like is very... It's unfair because, like, how you were describing it, Kane, I'm sure a lot of people felt like it was a gotcha. Like, you bought the manga and look, it looks like fucking, like, 90s, 80s nostalgia. It's like, what is this?
Yeah, it was jarring at first, for sure. I mean, it's still obviously a very, very good manga, and I would recommend reading it, especially for folks like me who, if you're going to buy physical like manga, you want to buy things that you can fit on a shelf realistically, and this is like 3 books, so there's not a lot to read through it as well. At least this set that has, I think, Ghost in the Shell, and then like 2 offshoot stories or something. I can't remember. It's been a couple years, but yeah, still read it. It's just funny that they never bothered to do an animated version of it specifically.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like you can let me know how accurate this is, having actually read the manga, but I don't know that they ever like really directly adapted the storyline either.
No, not really.
Yeah. So
there are elements. Yeah, there are elements they bring in, like characters, of course, and things, and sort of like little mini arcs and stuff. But yeah, the manga itself is also generally its own thing as well, which is interesting. It's also incredibly complicated when you first read through it the first time, but luckily there are liner notes like fucking everywhere.
And yeah, speaking of the manga box set, they did also, Kodansha, I guess, did also just announce, probably at AX, a new box set of all the Ghost in the Shell manga called the Ghost in the Shell Legacy Edition manga box set. So,
of course.
Oh.
Of course.
Yeah, this one was called the Deluxe Edition. I just walked over to my shelf to look at it. So.
Yeah, and this is the first time that they have called it The Ghost in the Shell, which the manga was also called. Ever since the Oshii movie, it's always just been Ghost in the Shell for the anime. So much like The One Piece. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was a Ghost in the Shell. Not much of note out of that. Then I went to a concert that night, and that was cool. There was some collaborations between different bands and stuff. So no real big news out of day 1. Then day 2, first thing I went to was Demon Slayer event, which no news, technically nothing to report, but it was kind of a refreshing change of pace from like kind of the PR bullshit, in that there was no host at all. It was just the entire event was live orchestra performing songs from Demon Slayer, and then occasionally, and they would have, footage playing all along, and then occasionally the Japanese voice of Tanjiro and or the English voice of Zenitsu would come on stage and do lines, and they would have, the footage for those clips. So that was neat.
That's kind of cool.
And
like that whole experience.
They'd be playing the music for the given scenes as well. So yeah, kind of a full live anime experience.
I saw that the
Fun.
new movie already like sold out of tickets or some insane shit going on in Japan. Like they pre-sold tickets and they sold out in minutes, and it's broken box office records before like a single second of footage has even gone on screen.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, Mugen Train is the most successful movie in the history of Japanese cinema, and that was just a random arc in the middle of the series. This is like the ending. So, yeah. And it's not COVID, which it was for Mugen Train.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep. So, yeah, be interesting to see how crazy those box office numbers end up being. Yeah, so then we get into the meat of it. We got the Frieren panel, So you can read, I wrote an article about this, which, of course, because it's the free run panel, I wrote much more than any of the other articles I wrote out of AX. But we got Evan Call, my boy, the composer,
Nice.
Chiaki Kobayashi, the voice of Stark, and the Madhouse animation producer, Fukushi. Yeah, Yuichiro Fukushi, I think. And they had all of them talking about their stuff. They had Evan, they gave him a keyboard, and so he was like kind of going through his composition process for the track Zoltrak, which is kind of the standout of the soundtrack, even though the whole soundtrack's amazing. And so he was kind of going through his whole, process of composing that and playing little riffs on the piano and stuff. So that was really cool. And then Kobayashi did some of the same kind of like the live dubbing thing is like everyone does that now. If you got, especially Japanese seiyuu or whatever, they're going to clip the anime with their lines removed and they're going to dub over it. So that's a cool thing that they can do now pretty easily. So they had that for Stark's introductory scene where he's being a cool badass for like 5 seconds and then a total fucking loser. So got to see Kobayashi try to be cool and then have to fall apart. And then they talked with Fukushi about the production a bit and kind of how like he selected the team for the first season. And then we got the world premiere of the first trailer for the second season. Most notably including the staff list for it, which we have not gotten before. So that, and of course, they're like, and it's going to stream on Crunchyroll. Like, oh wow, what a big piece of news that is. But yeah, so big news here is Keiichiro Saito will be returning in a supervisory capacity. So he won't be the main series director this time. He truly does not care to revisit a series in any significant capacity because he turned down directing season 2 of Bocchi the Rock and he turned down directing season 2 of Frieren. And those are literally the only 2 things he's ever directed. Yeah, so
that's some big boy status. That's sick. Turning that down.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, he just like immediately became like one of the biggest names in the industry, like right after he got his start because he just directed 2 series that were just both so phenomenally directed. So like to the point that when they announced Bocchi season 2, and I think I talked about this at the time, you don't talk about the director changing. You announce the new director. You never acknowledge the old one. Certainly not in Japanese PR. They gave him like an hour-long stream to explain why he wasn't returning to Bocchi. That's how much people care about him directing his properties. And it was similar here. They had the producer talk about like, okay, he's still going to be a supervisor. He's working with. So we've got Tomoya Kitagawa, who directed episodes 2, 8, and 25 of the first season. He's going to be the main series director for the second season. And then we're going to have 3 tiers of director this time around, because that's what it takes to replicate one Saito. And so we have Daiki Harashina, who directed the 3rd episode of the first season, is going to be the assistant director. So we have, supervisor, whatever, chief director is Saito, and then we have series director, then assistant director. And yeah, so Fukushi was talking about how, he had talked to the 3 of them, and they have like a good process of collaborating between the 3 to kind of continue the vision that Saito had set out in the first season, and make sure that everything is consistent and of the highest quality. So I can't help but have some concerns about it, but fingers crossed, I guess. And then yeah, so the rest of the staff, same writer. The character designer is changing. So previously there was one character designer, and now there are 3 new ones. They all did work on the first season in different capacities. So the first one is Takase Maru, who's actually Akiko Takase, who was not only the character designer for Violet Evergarden, but the illustrator of the original novels. So that's pretty exciting. And she's been working under a pseudonym at other studios other than Kyoto Animation for the past few years. So she did work on the first season. She was chief animation director for a couple episodes of that, which, as we've discussed, is a common role for character designers to hold. Then Keisuke Kojima, who was actually the director of episode 7 of the first season. And then Yuri Fujinaka, who was chief animation director of another one of the first season's episodes. So, yeah, that's changing a little bit.
Wow.
So now we have a little bit more Violet Evergarden overlap, actually, because Evan Call also did the music for that. And he will be, of course, returning for the second season, which he has leaked on like 3 occasions before. So no news there. So yeah, he's talking about new tracks he's working on, new styles he's going with, some kind of rearrangements of old tracks from the first season. So that's all exciting. And same concept artist, Madhouse, was already confirmed when the second season was first announced. So no news there really. But yeah, basically from one director to 3, from one character designer to 3. Those are the big changes for the production side of season 2.
Whew, yeah, I can understand why there would be a bit of concern for some of that, but I mean, it's hard to say how much will actually change about it. I feel like at least Frierin's like vibe should be easy enough to maintain, and if you said the writers are, I think, is the writing staff all the same? So yeah,
writers the same, all that.
I'm hoping that means that like despite the big director shift, I think it doesn't rock the boat too much if they can like keep the vibes, So
I do think like I've written hundreds of words about this in my review of the series. I think the vibes are like Saito's greatest contribution to the first season. Because it's very much like, him taking the time, letting the series breathe, letting it be something that doesn't feel like a straight adaptation of its manga. But I think he has definitely set the atmosphere, and talking with the other 2 directors and still being a supervisor, whatever that means. Hopefully they know we can't fuck this up. So they're looking at what has been done before. And, the brief little clips we've gotten seems like Frieren, but you can cut together a trailer to feel like anything. So, yeah, it's not like I think anything's going to be bad about it. It's just the best case scenario would have been everything stayed the same, right? Because it was so good the first time. But we'll see.
Yeah, the director thing... I guess I'd say I'm bittersweet on it as well, if only because I looked up the episodes that the Kitagawa directed, and 2 is a vibes episode, which is good. Like, that one is very much a vibes episode. It's the one where they go in search of the flowers for the statue, and everything in Fern is introduced and such more officially and everything. But then 8 and 25 are very much like action-y episodes. Right. So,
which, to be fair, side, was kind of the evolution of the series over the course of the first season anyway.
And I was going to say on the plus side, those are also really well done, and it also shows a variety. Like, this guy has directed a calmer vibes episode as well as action-based, so I would be a little more concerned if it was like the only episodes he directed, even early on, were just where there was fighting going on.
Yeah. True.
Because obviously that's a very different situation than having to then go and make a whole episode that's just about, cooking soup or something. Like, you have to change your entire thought process when you make something like that versus making highly kinetic action scenes and stuff. So there is some variety there, which is nice. And then the character designer, I don't know if there's too many cooks in the kitchen for that or not. either, I guess it depends on, I don't know. I haven't read the manga, so I don't know how many new characters we're necessarily
Right,
going
that
to
was
be
my
getting.
thought as well. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I'll also say, like, one, I'm glad that everyone announced did work on the first season, at least. So it's like, yeah, we're still, everyone's kind of in the family. They were all contributors to what made the first season so great anyway, so that's good. These two directors have not had any, like, lead directing experience before. They've only done episode direction. So at least, like, with Saito, yeah, it was only his second project ever, but just Bochi was enough to make me excited for his contribution, which was kind of the thing, like, going into it. It was like, wow, every single main staff member has done something I love. And for him, it was Bochi. So, like, if these were the directors the first time around, I would be less excited, because I'm like, oh, well, they've never actually led a directing project before. But yeah, we will see. Yeah, so that was that. Then, sorry, I'm moving these around to make them match up the actual AX schedule. So then we get back to Cyberpunk Edgerunners. I had some time in between a couple autographs. I got little autographs and sketches from the creators of Odd Taxi and Beastars. So
Nice.
in between those, I had a little bit of free time, and I was like, oh, I can probably make it to this Cyberpunk Edgerunners panel. Might have flashed the press badge. I don't know. But I was like, yeah, there's probably nothing to announce, right? The series is over. So I just kind of hung out in there, and I was like, man, Imaishi's here. It's kind of a bummer that they don't have him on the panel. So, they had the writer from CD Projekt Red. They had, like, the lead voice actors of the English dub, and, it was cool to hear them talk about it and stuff. But I was like, yeah, it's kind of a missed opportunity to not have Imaishi come on. And then as soon as I thought that, they brought Imaishi on. I was like, oh, nice. Okay, we'll get to hear a little bit of his perspective on it. And then they showed a visual, and it's like, Cyberpunk Edgerunners 2. It's like, whoa, holy shit. So, yeah, that was big news. We are getting a sequel. In this case, it is very much all new, much more junior staff. So first season was the big hitters of Trigger, directed by Imaishi, character designs by Yo Yoshinari. This time around, Kai Ikarashi is the director. Ichigo Kano is the character designer. Same writers, so that's good. But yeah, they're definitely giving it to kind of the new blood at Trigger, which they discussed a bit throughout their various panels. But yeah, not a whole ton. They released, like the Ghost in the Shell trailer, a little trailer without really telling you anything. But it will be, thematically similar. It will explore Night City some more. No real confirmation if it will follow any of the characters from the first series. Obviously, some of them will not be around.
Yeah.
But
I like how a lot of their marketing was pushed around, like, don't worry, he's dead.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
He's not coming back. So
that's like the first line of the trailer.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that. I honestly am hoping it's a completely new cast.
Mhm.
I think it would be for the best if it was just like fresh story, like the first season, like, did everything it needed to be with those characters. Like, it'd be great if we just got like another. I feel like that's kind of what's going on with, or that's kind of what I feel Cyberpunk is. Like, Night City's supposed to be like, oh, all this different stuff going on. So, I don't know.
Somehow David returned.
Yeah, right. But I did love that like one of the writers went online and was like, it's gonna be sad. Like,
Yes.
my people are like, we are sad people. So
that is all he talked about at both the Cyberpunk panel and the Netflix panel. Yeah, he was like,
great.
Polish people are very sad. we want to make everyone else sad. The only time I smile is when you are all sad. So I made the first season very sad, and that made me happy. But I'm not. You are not sad enough, so I'm going to make you sadder by making the second season even sadder, and then I can be happy again.
That's certainly an interesting proposition. If only because you got to be careful not to get to the point where it's so sad that it then becomes funny.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, yes, of course they'd get hit by a bus. Why not? Like, wait. The first one had just enough like tragedy, sadness where I could feel it. So as long as they don't go too far into the more sad area where we're just like introducing characters and throwing random tragedies at them and then watching them die in the space of like 20 minutes, I think it'll be good. I'm really excited for a second season. I think because of the way the first one was made and how the game presents the city as well, where the city is the only like constant character. You could have an infinite amount of stories in Night City,
right,
and stuff, which is why, like Bran, I agree with you. I want it to be just a totally different thing. Like, the city is big enough that you could have 4 or 5 more people, whatever you want in your squad, your main squad, who like at best have maybe heard of the first group of characters, but have like never met them, know nothing about them whatsoever, because like the city is enormous. So
I think referential stuff is fine, but I would hate for it to be like, oh, fans loved Rebecca, let's make this season about her. It's like, no, let's do something new. We'll see.
Guess,
I'm not
fortunately, all the characters that anyone cared about are dead. No, I guess we don't really know, but yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, as long as it's not like some prequel type stuff. But hey, they cooked, so I'm going to let them cook again. So
yes.
Yeah, very much so looking forward to it. Really, really enjoyed the first season, and it felt like one of those like big surprise hits and stuff. So that's also something that'll be interesting too, which now that it has so much hype behind it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but when the original came out, it was just kind of like out of nowhere, and everyone's like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone expected it to be as good as it was, for sure.
No, and given the fact that it came out after the game, and the game kind of had a very rough go of it, people were obviously going to be skeptical of this too, because it's probably just like, oh, they made this real quick to try and sell the game or something, and which it did, but it did it, incredibly. So
because it was actually good.
Yeah. I think was it our like collective number one that year when we like put all of our scores together?
2022, maybe. It was like I'd have to look it up. It was up there, because certainly it was DJ's number one. But yeah, I'm definitely like curious to see where the new direction goes. Because like I said, it was their biggest heavy hitters the first time around. But be optimistic.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything else about that? Okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm not optimistic about?
Your friend, your coworker.
No. Whatever Hideaki Anno's working on next.
To be fair,
near Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk is an established property. Although I suppose, like we mentioned, even with Gundam, he couldn't help but just write the parts that were kind of already covering existing storylines. He didn't even write new Gundam, really. So might be a little too new for him.
At Anime NYC, they're going to announce the official subtitle for the new Cyberpunk is Shin Cyberpunk.
Yes, exactly.
Directed by Hideaki Anno.
Yeah, I mean, basically, episode 2 of G-Quux was just Shin Gundam.
Which, to be fair, at least I and Kestrel as well have been clamoring for a Shin Gundam for ages.
Absolutely.
So,
yes.
Fair.
Yeah. Anno can totally give us brand new remake of Gundam 2029. I'll take it. Anyway, our 2022 top list was I thought this was the case. our number one for the aggregate of us was Kaguya-sama Ultra Romantic. But when we
Also
factored in
timely.
all of the other votes that we got, Cyberpunk was number one. So it was number two for us and number one for all of our submitted lists.
Okay, that makes sense.
Surprised it wasn't Freerin.
That was 2023.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
that was the.
And
Yeah.
We just
What's
know
the
it's going to
point?
be that good.
We
I don't even know
come
if it was
from the
announced
crowd.
yet. We should have put it in number one. What did you say, Kate?
I said we come from the future.
Yes. Yeah, so Kane, what does your coworker think about new Cyberpunk Edgerunners?
I have avoided talking to him about it.
You should ask.
Cool. All right, so then next thing on day 2 was the Apothecary Diaries panel, and this is why I kind of rearranged this a little bit, because in fact, before day 2 really got underway, we already had the news that we were getting more Apothecary Diaries anime because season 2 had just wrapped up that day, and it was in the early morning for the US. So everyone already knew that was happening, so they didn't really have anything new to announce at the panel. They had the seiyuu of Mao Mao and character we won't talk about in case anyone is listening to this and isn't caught up on Apothecary Diaries. But yeah, they had them. They did a bunch of the live dubbing stuff between the two of them, which there's plenty of material of various different tones throughout the second season. They did the Mao Mao poison scene from the first season, of course, and they just had a bunch of Q&A with them about their roles and stuff. So that was a good time. Not a ton of substance out of it, like the free run panel, I would say. But yeah, all that to say, the actual news did not come from AX, but yes, they confirmed another Apothecary Diaries anime after season 2. Didn't explicitly confirm it as season 3, but that is the expectation.
With how well that show was pulling in ratings in Japan, not surprised whatsoever.
Especially since, as we've discussed, they have like 1 trillion more volumes already out to adapt. It is past the manga already, but tons of novels to go through.
Both manga, I think. Yes, there are 2 full-ass manga of that series. Yeah. Which I wasn't even sure. I kept hearing people talk about like how there was another manga series. I'm like, well, that's weird. It's going to be a spin-off or something, right? No, there's a whole ass another manga adaptation of the light novel. The one that is being translated over here is the one that they base the character designs for the anime after.
Right.
But there's another
Mao
one.
Mao's Notes from the Inner Palace? Is that one?
It might be called that. I'm not sure, but it's just telling the story over again.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like beat for beat. It's the story and told from a different, artist. Huh. Very strange.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway. Yeah, so we've passed apparently both manga series, but there is plenty of novel material to get through. And what's the adaptation pace? Like 1 novel per core? Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, they've been sticking to that pretty firmly. So
cool. So, and we are at 15? No, that's the manga. 16 novels published, and probably further than that in the like web novels too. So
I think the web novels are done, but that doesn't mean much because they always end up changing stuff around or whatever. But maybe they're not done. I don't know. I might be getting like confused with those series, but they always end up changing and extrapolating, and like Slime's web novels have been done for fucking ever, and yeah.
Either way, just going off of the light novel version of it, we're only a quarter of the way through the novels that have been published so far, and that's still ongoing. So, yes, lots more Mao Mao to be had. Yeah, so while I was at that panel, I guess I will say a little bit of news that came out that I was interested in that I found out about in another panel the following day. There was a JoJo's panel, and gave us a little bit about Steel Ball Run. They gave us the main staff. I guess that's not a little bit. That's pretty significant, as I just talked about that announcement from Frieren for like an hour. But, with the JoJo's anime, even though Steel Ball Run is, kind of a fresh start, they could definitely bring in all new people if they wanted to, and I think it would be justified. They are basically keeping with the same core team that they have had, especially the recent couple seasons. So we've got both of the directors from Part 5, the overall series director of the entire series, the writer of the entire series, the character designer of Part 5, the composer of parts 3 through 6, and the sound designer of all of the parts, and of course David Production, which has done all of the JoJo anime since rebooting it, of course. Yeah, and the only other thing that I got out of that was, like I said, I was in a panel the following day, which was the Warner Brothers Japan anime panel, and they touched upon it a little bit, and they basically said, we wanted to show you a trailer, but animating horses is really hard, so we don't have enough footage for you.
Yeah. At least they're being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd believe that. I mean, we don't even get... I think that's the reason we don't get horses in, like, any animation very frequently, because it's just so difficult without making them look janky as hell.
Or just CGing them.
Yeah. When it was... Now that's a little bit possible to make them look realistic, or realistic enough, at the very least.
But they're still very jarring whenever that happens, so I really hope this is an indication that they are trying to do all 2D horses, but yeah, that is quite the investment, if so.
Yeah.
I think we discussed... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I did like that they highlighted the Part 5 staff like in that way, because I feel like Part 5 was just so... I guess specifically, with the character design too, like everything just like popped, and I'm hoping that it feels like that for Steel Ball Run, that everything's just like locked in place, and there's a lot of hopes until we see a horse. There's lots of hopes,
right? And they released the first key visual, of course, when it was first announced, and obviously you can draw a horse once. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to draw every frame of them, or a bunch of horses, I should say. But, obviously it looked good there. And then I think with the staff announcement, they also released a little visual of the character designs of the two leads, and kind of outlines. They're not colored in for the most part, but you get a sense of the anime character designs, which look awesome, and they gave out little postcards with that art as well. And yeah, they what else was there? I guess that was it for that. I think we discussed previously that they could always replace all of the horses with Uma Musume girls. That's always an option.
I think at the very least they need to make a Steel Ball Run styled mobile game that's basically Uma Musume, and they'll fund JoJo for the next 50 years. So.
Very true. Yeah. So still fingers crossed on that one. The two pieces of art we've gotten look great, but no guarantee. They said that, and this was announced, I think the previous day as well, that we will be getting some news out of Japan at a global live stream that they're holding, as they do when they have big announcements for the JoJo anime series. That's going to be on September 23rd, which was chosen because that is the date of the press conference where they announced the actual Steel Ball Run race in Chapter 1 of the manga. So
yeah. I feel like a broken record saying this, but I am just begging them to make it a weekly released show. I really hope they don't give it to Netflix to release in batches.
Yeah, which is that a perfect segue? We've got a little bit before that. I'll mention briefly the end of day 2 was the Studio Trigger's big event, which was the world premiere of New Panty and Stocking, which is out now on streaming, so nothing to spoil there. But yeah, that was a fucking crazy time, as would be expected of those combination of factors. Studio Trigger plus 18 plus event plus late at night plus thousands of fans packed into the Peacock Theater plus fucking Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt returning after 15 years. Absolute debauchery.
The smells.
The smells.
You can smell the episode, that's for sure. And I wrote a little bit about the Apothecary Diaries panel. I wrote a little bit about this premiere as well. But other than what I kind of wrote about there, wasn't any news really. They also premiered the Cyberpunk Edgerunners trailer there. When they announced it in the Edgerunners panel, they were like, because they had a video message from Kai Ikarashi, the new director, and he was like, and you're going to see the world premiere of the trailer right now. And then they ended that clip, and they're like, actually, we found out the trailer is too bloody to show, so we're going to show it at the 18 plus panel tonight, even though it's a Panty and Stocking panel. So that's where they actually showed that. But like I said, it's not like the trailer gives you that much to go on anyway. So yeah. Then we get to day 3. I got to interview the director of Dawn to Dawn. So that is also published. And then we get into the Netflix panel, which I only was there for the first little bit of, and then I headed to the Warner panel. And yeah, in the time that I was there, they did bring on the writer from Cyberpunk again, whose name I cannot pronounce. Who assured everyone that they will be sad again. And then the probably only real news is something that was already relatively known ahead of time but wasn't explicitly confirmed, which is that Netflix Jail is back. Aren't you guys all so excited? Netflix Jail has reopened.
Netflix Jail has returned.
Has returned, yes. Somehow Netflix Jail returned. I'm going to write all of these down. But yeah, the perhaps what I expect to be the best series of the season, The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, is getting delayed by 2 months from its Japanese broadcast before we get it on Netflix in the US, at least on September 7th. And it's not even like the end of a core. So it's not like it even makes sense to be like, oh yeah, well, we're just going to release the whole core at once, because they won't even have that much material at that point. So it's just long enough to be infuriating, but not quite long enough to make sense in any capacity.
Oh,
it's just mind-boggling. Like, they've done it both ways now. Do they not have like clear data that like, the batch shit ain't working, but the weekly episodes be hitting, or vice versa? I don't know what their data is showing, but clearly they don't either, because they keep trying both ways.
Right, especially since this same season, they have weekly anime simulcasts.
Yeah.
Like their Sakamoto Days is about to start back up. Fuck, what's the other one I'm watching on Netflix? I can't remember.
Yaiba was from last season.
Yeah.
Weekly.
Right. There's a new one this season.
The Summer Hikaru died?
Yes, thank you. That's weekly. Yeah, so no consistency. Not only has everyone else been doing it weekly just fine for 17 years, but Netflix has been doing it weekly just fine for like 2 years for every new show. So I don't fucking know. But
yay.
They just hate us.
Yes.
Yeah.
They want me personally to suffer.
Yeah, I am looking forward to watching this though. I've read the first 10 chapters, maybe, on the
Nice.
recommendation of a friend like a month or two ago, before either of us were aware it was even getting an anime, because we're just not that plugged in. And then recently I saw, oh, it's getting an anime, and then I told him, and we were very excited because he recommended it to me as, what do you call it, like Green Flags the anime, like Green Flags the manga, as in, like, because I've talked on here a bunch of times, and I talked to him a lot about my preferences for just media alone, not just anime, but how I don't like romance or romantic comedies where the conflict is based off of easily solved miscommunications.
Right.
And he's like, that doesn't happen here. He's like, everybody talks about their problems and everything is pretty nice and smooth sailing. And if there's conflict, there's real conflict that takes effort to solve, and not just telling someone one thing that they refuse to tell them. And that was enough for me to start reading it.
Yeah,
So,
I've also I read the first 2 volumes. Just read the second one. So yeah, it's great. The anime adaptation looks great. It's Cloverworks, who has like 3 of the biggest shows this season. Yep, sure would like to be watching it.
This is one of those scenarios where I have so much on my plate. Maybe some things deserve to go to jail.
No, not this one.
Maybe not, but as Kane said, I'm not plugged in on this one, so I don't mind not having to think about one more.
Yeah.
Until it is mine, and then they do it to JoJo's, and then I'll be mad again.
Well, then maybe you can use Netflix jail to your advantage, and by the time September 7th rolls around, drop whatever show is the worst on your list and pick this one up.
True.
And then the shows you're watching now have to fight for your affection.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
As they should.
Yeah. First they came for Fragrant Flower, and I did not speak out because I was not Fragrant Flower. Okay. Then I got to the Warner Brothers panel. Like I said, most of what I got out of that panel was already announced the prior day. I just didn't know because I didn't have time to look stuff up because I was at AX. But yeah, they announced a bunch of stuff about their new CG Fist of the North Star remake.
Oh,
which,
yeah, baby.
Yep.
No, just leave it alone.
Speaking of people hating us.
Yeah.
I don't... dude, that is like one of the most like tenured action anime / manga of all time. Why does it deserve the Berserk 2016? Why?
I mean, I guess people like these, like, what, Record of Ragnarok? Is that one of the ones? Am I mixing things up? I might be mixing things up, but there's been a bunch of these, like, big, strong CG boys punching each other anime that have been kind of successful.
Oh, like Kengan Ashura.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I was thinking of.
Okay, but Kengan Ashura actually looks pretty good. This is just...
Okay, I haven't actually watched any of these
usually
series.
the trailers at least show you the good enough parts. This had nothing good enough.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so rough.
Yeah. But there's hundreds of episodes of the Toei adaptation, so just go watch them.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Wait, You're Already Dead reference sounded like the Simpsons reference, but it actually works as a Fist of the North Star reference. How is that?
Damn.
Okay. All right, you got me.
Damn, there's levels to this shit.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so really the reason I was at that panel anyway was to camp the room for the world premiere of the new Gintama spinoff, which doesn't come out until next season, so it was 3 months ahead of time. And shocking to everyone in the room the moment the episode proper started is that it was dubbed. Yep, which is weird. Because it's 3 months out, they haven't dubbed the vast majority of the original series, and it's not a show that should really be dubbed, much less it's pure comedy moments, much less for a world premiere. So, Yeah, that kind of killed it a little bit.
That's not great.
Yeah.
Did they like reference like random Japanese comedian and the joke made no sense?
I mean, they might have in the original, and they just like adapted it to something else. But especially the weirdest thing was, you know how in like sometimes in the series proper and sometimes like little offshoot videos, they'll just have like the Yorozuya sign, and they'll just have the three main characters just like riffing off whatever topic they're talking about.
Yeah.
So they had one of those as like a special message for Anime Expo for this premiere from the three Japanese seiyuu, and then immediately went into the dubbed premiere.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah. They made a clip to only show at this premiere, to only show the premiere in English.
Wow.
Super bizarre.
Ultimate troll move there.
Which I guess is on brand for Gintama? Yeah.
Yeah.
Very weird. Yeah, so I don't know that I can really say how I feel about that episode, because I don't feel that I really watched that episode. But it's definitely like, and they had a video from the director acknowledging this too. It's very early Gintama, not only like how it's just, you know, complete gag comedy the whole time, but even aesthetically, it looks like Gintama from 2006. And the director kind of acknowledged that it was like intentional to make it look kind of like cheap and not have any sort of like effects or post-processing, cinematography, any of that kind of stuff. It just is very much like flat line art and color fill, which is a strange choice in 2025.
Trust me, guys, it's supposed to look like shit.
Yeah. So we'll see how it progresses, I guess.
Yeah, streaming natively in 480p on Crunchyroll.
Well, Megalobox did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People also didn't like that, so...
I mean, I didn't like that, so...
We'll see how that works.
Nobody like that.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how that actually goes when it is weekly and in Japanese in 3 months. And then I went to the Crunchyroll panel, which also wrote a little article about that. You know, like most industry panels, it was mostly just going through their shit that is coming up that they are streaming. Of course, they don't care at all about Blu-rays anymore, so it's purely about upcoming streaming stuff. And they had a few announcements, some of them very expected. You know, new ReZero, whatever. Everyone knows that basically. New Mushoku Tensei, there hasn't been much about that, and they showed like 2 minutes of footage for that, so that was more than nothing. But big news, the only news I really cared about, because again, the other ones were either expected or stuff that I didn't really follow, but the big news that I kind of cared about, this was also partially leaked ahead of time, but they had the founder, president of Bones, which is now Bones Film, I guess, for the animation studio part of it. But whatever, it's just Bones. So he came up and he was making my heart skip some beats there, because he was talking about, yes, you remember Full Metal Alchemist, you know, this anime production game, it's not all equivalent exchange, and now it's time for a reunion after, you know, 20 plus years of starting this process. And I was like, can they remake Full Metal Alchemist a third time?
The Full Metal Alchemist.
No, they are announcing the new Hiromu Arakawa anime or manga adaptation, which is Daemons, whatever, of the Shadow Realm. And that had been leaked a little bit, that it would be getting an anime in the prior few days or weeks. So I should have had that on my mind, but it was just those combination of references just made my brain go crazy. So yeah, they I don't know that anyone's like that jazzed about this manga, but it's, you know, a return to like Arakawa completely original action manga, which I guess is only the second time after Full Metal Alchemist, because Hero Tales was like a collaboration between her and a few other people. Silver Spoon was very tonally different. Arslan was an adaptation of Yoshiki Tanaka's novels. So yeah, returning to Bones for this feels kind of appropriate. And it looks like it will be very pretty, so it seems like they're definitely putting everything into trying to make it a hit, whether or not it will be. And it's going to be directed by the director of Sword of the Stranger, which was a great film, so that's promising. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sad I didn't ever take the time to check the manga out. I had been meaning to for so long and never got around to it, but I mean, I will always have my eyes peeled for like a star-studded Bones lineup. So like, yeah, just based off of this staff list, I am willing to get on board.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. So Masahiro Ndo directing. He's done several things at various studios, but he's done a lot with Bones, and Sort of Stranger is the standout that they mentioned, of course. Character designer from Bungo Stray Dogs. Yeah, the writer of the Golden Kamui anime. Seems like they're definitely kind of putting everything into it. So, yeah, hopefully they can. I'm not expecting anything of the caliber of either Full Metal Alchemist series. Yeah, hopefully it will be worthwhile at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, the Arakawa's batting average is pretty decent, so I'll definitely give it a shot. I mean, Full Metal Alchemist, yeah, and Silver Spoon, and, you know, all those. Of course, it's not going to soar as high, but I think the floor is also pretty high as well.
Right.
Like, I'm sure this will not be the worst show of its respective season.
Yes, most likely.
Yeah.
And then so that was like the penultimate announcement of that panel, because their big announcement is the Black Clover anime is coming back, which I'm sure is very exciting for many people. I watched one episode of the anime and read 3 chapters of the manga, so I was not the one who's going to get super excited about this, but I know lots of people. As I hear it, the series, especially the anime, I think got better as it went on. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's what they say. I'm in the similar boat of like big shonen property that I was not getting on board with.
Right.
But yay, people are happy.
Yeah.
That's good.
It is one of the few, because it's Pierrot, and it's one of the few that's following kind of the old school approach of, at least for the first go round, 100 whatever episodes straight, instead of the usual seasonal pattern that we've gotten for most of these since My Hero Academia, and certainly since Demon Slayer. Yeah. Maybe I'll give it a shot at some point.
Nothing wrong with giving stuff a second chance. I have to do the same for Chainsaw Man eventually.
Much easier second shot to watch 12 episodes versus like 150 or whatever.
Nah, not for you. I believe in you. You could do that all in a day.
And then last thing I went to on day 3 was Studio Trigger live drawing and Q&A, which was all very Panty and Stocking centric. And it kind of served as like the second half of the premiere event, I would say, where this one they got to actually like let fans ask questions, and they had a lot of good insight from that as well. And they talked about kind of the next generation thing that was discussed with Cyberpunk as well a little bit, where, this is both Panty and Stocking is kind of acting as a bridge as well, because, it's got all the old staff, but it's also bringing in all the new staff to work with them, because it's been 15 years. And then they're trying to kind of push them to be the next wave of talent at the studio for projects like Cyberpunk, where they want it to be all new people. And yeah, the live drawing itself, so it was Imaishi and Shigeto Koyama, and they kind of like got a sense of what people's favorite characters were, which was stocking and knee socks, which is not terribly surprising. And so Imaishi drew the two of them fighting, and then they were doing a countdown on Twitter to the release of new panty and stocking with Gutter Belt. So every day, like a different Trigger member would do some sort of like drawing or whatever to put in a Twitter post, and it was Koyama's turn, but he was behind schedule because he was at AX. So instead, he had a couple of confident cosplayers from the crowd come up and pose in front of the rest of the crowd, and he took a picture of them and just drew over them, and he was just like fucking with random people in the crowd live, just like drawing stupid shit over their faces or like making their forehead super big or dumb shit like that. So that was a fun time. So I am just barely covered up by the cosplayer in the forefront in that picture if you look at it on Twitter. But
oh man,
it was still a fun time. Yeah, and then day 4, really no news to speak of. There was a Jujutsu Kaisen event, which was remarkably underwhelming. They had like the seiyuu of Yuji and Yuta, which makes sense because they're, the main characters of Jujutsu Kaisen and Jujutsu Kaisen 0, respectively, and they will be starring and interacting in the forthcoming new anime season, which they teased a little bit, but not to the point that we learned anything new. However, the vast majority of the panel was advertising the very shortly upcoming, maybe by the time this is already out, theatrical version of the flashback arc at the beginning of season 2, which is just a recut of those episodes. And also, not only is it just a clip show movie, but it's the only part of the series that features neither of those characters. So it was very bizarre to spend most of the panel promoting that when those were the two guests they had.
Yikes.
So
okay.
that was that. Yeah, I don't know why they chose that.
Clearly season 3 is coming along well.
Yeah, right. Good luck, Mappa. This is why Chainsaw Man takes so long.
Yeah.
And perhaps how cool that Chainsaw Man trailer looked is the reason they had nothing to show about season 3 of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then I went to the Kaiju number 8 panel, which there was nothing new about, but the fucking lead seiyuu for that series is like the most off-the-rails dude in the universe. So being in that panel was maybe the most entertaining experience of the entire convention, even though there was nothing of actual substance from it, and I don't care about Kaiju number 8 as much as a lot of the properties that were represented there. Very glad I was there still. And then, as I had mentioned to you guys, I did go to the screening of the Umumusume panel, or of the Umumusume movie, and I was the fakest fan. Not only were they like, who here is playing the Umumusume game? To which, of course, every single human being in the room stood up and cheered and screamed, except for me, as I was just sitting there quietly, because I am the only person who has no interest in the game.
I wanted someone to be like, this guy's a phony!
Yeah, phony! But in addition to that, so like, Umumusume, the Cinderella Grey series was very good. This movie was fucking incredible. But it still has like the weird idol aspect occasionally. And so that was like the end of the movie, like the closing credits and stuff. And fucking everyone in this room knew all the moves, all the chants, all the
Lord.
Fucking crazy, like complicated, fast Japanese sentences that you have to say at very specific timing throughout it. It was wild. So yeah, that was an experience.
Meanwhile, you're sitting in your chair, twiddling your thumbs, hoping nobody notices.
Exactly. So anyway, very good movie though. Hopefully it gets a proper theatrical run over here, since obviously that property is the fucking hottest thing right now. It would be silly not to do that.
It was an interesting couple days on the internet when the games like dropped.
Yeah, I'm getting all sorts of ads for it, like all over the place. Even on videos, I shouldn't be getting Uma Musume ads, like a coffee video about how to brew Ethiopian coffee, and it's like, by the way, when you're enjoying this hot cup of coffee, why not breed horse girls to race for you?
Did you see this year's season of Black Mirror?
No.
Are we not living in it?
Well, yes. Also correct.
That's just Twitter.
Objectively correct. No, but the first episode of it, yeah, they have ads embedded in software that this person needs to survive, and so she is often going off on just random little. Do you like, Uma Musume? Do you like horse girls? I'm sure if it was made a few months later, they would have directly referenced Uma Musume. But yeah, no, that's just what that reminded me of. So that was more or less my AX. And then I can get into a little bit of post-AX news that we've got. So the first thing, there wasn't much about this series at AX, I guess because there's nothing new to promote or nothing upcoming to promote at the moment. But Solo Leveling is similarly a very hot commodity at the moment. And that got an announcement from Netflix that they will be adapting that into a Korean live-action series.
Did the video game already come out?
Oh yeah, they did.
I figured maybe that would have been talked about at the panel.
Yeah, they did talk about that, but it's a Crunchyroll panel. They also had a separate Crunchyroll Games panel, I think, which I didn't go to. But yes, they did acknowledge this.
Okay, I figured that might have been besides the live action announcement, I figured the game might have been the most of what they talked about, because yeah, like you said, I mean, the latest season just wrapped up, so they probably don't have much else to go on besides like people still being high on that.
Yeah. Yeah, looks like the game is maybe out. Download available now. Yeah. But yeah, it's getting a live action. I guess I can also tie this into another piece of kind of anti-news that I removed from the doc since we had so much else, which is that the live action Akira is definitely not happening. Because Warner Brothers finally lost the right after decades of fucking volleyballing it around.
Ugh.
Yep. So
yeah. Maybe for the best.
Yeah. But Solo Leveling, it's got like a formal Netflix announcement and a lead cast member, so probably fairly likely it will exist. And it's hot right now, so yeah. And then last piece of news, hate to end it on a downer as we like to do.
It wouldn't be our news segment without this.
It's true. We can't have a full news episode without someone dying. So yes, sadly, another veteran voice actor has passed away. This was James Carter Cathcart, who often went by Jimmy Zoppi, sometimes Billy Beach, sometimes just Carter Cathcart. And he was best known for the Pokemon dub. He is the only person to be in the entire Pokemon dub, because when they recast everyone else after like season 8 or whatever, he's the only one who not only kept his role, but took over a ton of the roles that other people had.
Wow. So
he was Gary from episode 1 all the way through the end of Ash's story, which wrapped up like a year or two ago. He then took over the roles of James, Meowth, and Professor Oak when all the recasts happened. And I think he also did a lot of the script adaptation over the course of the series. And he was also in a bunch of other 4Kids stuff in those years, and also some non-4Kids, non-kiddie New York dubs, such as Utena. So yeah, he was a veteran of the New York scene, and then kind of right when the Ash portion of the anime finally wrapped up after like 25 years, he finished all his roles in that, and then he announced that he was diagnosed with throat cancer, and so he could not voice act anymore, and that he was retiring. And then about 2 years later, he passed away, age 71.
Damn.
Rest in peace, my dude.
Yep.
R.I.P.
Yep. That's all I got for news and AX stuff.
Nice.
It sounds like a productive one. At least as productive as an anime con goes.
Sounds like it was trolling you a lot.
Why do you say that?
Walking in those panels going, what could they possibly announce here? Or, oh, maybe they'll announce, oh god, what are they doing?
I mean, yeah. The Cyberpunk one especially was like the best case scenario when you don't expect anything and you get a huge announcement that you're there for. That was super cool. But yeah, like I said, I was basically there for all the big announcements that I cared about. I guess I wasn't really there for the JoJo panel, but it was the exact same time as Apothecary Diaries, so that was just going to be the case. But yeah, it was productive, went well. Got an interview out of it, got a few autographs and sketches. Used my press authority when necessary, not always. But I wrote them some articles about the stuff that I used it for, so no abuse of power there.
Well, it sounds like next year you're going to have to abuse some power. You're going to have to wrangle some people to show you the anime horses early.
No, yes, of course.
He has to get into one of the lines and then just walk right to the front and just be like, move, I'm media.
I mean, I kind of did that a few times. That's kind of what having a press badge is like. Anyway, yeah, it was a good time. AX can be very stressful, and this was fine. And yes, having a hack badge doesn't hurt. But I think the general consensus is that they're kind of getting better with some of the management. The fact that it's now spread out across 3 different buildings is annoying, but it does make the congestion a little more bearable. And they had very much outgrown the convention center, so putting main events in Peacock Theater, which holds 7,100 people, was definitely a good move for the most part. Had some issues, but yeah, I think it was the right move overall.
Oh, I can't even imagine going to a con that big.
Yeah, I mean, really, they should be cutting the attendance at like half of what it's been for the past bunch of years, because it's just too many. I don't think they announce like the unique attendance anymore. They only do turnstile, which is fairly meaningless. But I think we're generally around 120,000 people every year. Which is too many.
Yeah, that's woof. No thanks. Next time, could you just put a GoPro on and then like stream it so I can just kind of be there in spirit? I don't want to be in that.
It's not that bad. You get used to it. It has been worse. The spreading out has helped a little bit. When it was all of those people just in one building, that was rough. But yeah, that's my AX. It's my news.
Awesome. Glad you had a good time. There was a lot of good stuff there, so that's also good. I don't really know if there's ever been a dud of an AX, because it's the only con that really gets this type of attention anymore, now that Otakon hasn't for some time, and what to say, maybe Anime NYC does, kind of.
Yeah, AX Anime NYC are the two big industry cons.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of split between the two. AX is definitely the bigger one. And so yeah, you're right. You're pretty much guaranteed to always have some big stuff and some big announcements out of it. This one, like, despite what I talked about, it was not like, I don't know, the most targeted to me, I would say, of an AX. There wasn't that much that I cared that deeply about. But the stuff that I did care about, obviously free run panels top priority, and I got what I was hoping out of that and a little bit more, so that was super cool. And having only a few things that you care that much about is kind of the best case scenario for AX, because it's impossible to do everything. At ACEN or Otakon, you can do everything you care about. It's doable. At AX, you got to be very selective, even with special badge privileges. So yeah, I'm glad that it wasn't like a ton of stuff that I cared about overlapping and making it impossible for me.
Nice.
Yeah, looks like you did it about right though. So thank you for your due diligence.
Except your fraudulent fandom. That not unexcusable.
Yes. Objectively awful, fake, phony fan.
The horse homies will find you.
They will I'm surprised no one tried to convince you to play the game.
Yeah. I'm glad that no one seemed to notice me when everyone else was raising their hands.
Alrighty. Well, if that's everything for the news and the saga of your AX trip, I think we can wrap it on up. I'm not sure if any of you folks had any recommendations for the week. If so, shout them out. If not, we can just head right into the outro here and call it an evening.
I got some recommendations. We got Grave of the Fireflies has a new steelbook from G Kids, and that has some old extras that haven't been released since PM had the movie, so they weren't on any of the Sentai releases. So that includes the interview with Takahata, the interview with Roger Ebert, and I don't know if they have the feature-length storyboards on all the releases. It's a fairly common thing for Ghibli movies to have, but they might have not had it on some of the Sentai releases. So, yeah, if you don't... Any prior release would either be not Blu-ray or not have those extras, so worth picking up. Nice steelbook, great art. I don't know if it's the same scan as Sentai had for their Blu-ray, but it looks great. And then from the aforementioned new Animego, we have Romeo's Blue Skies, which I talked about when they licensed that, which is classic only World Masterpiece Theater anime to have gotten a release now. And I got it like a week ago, but I've just been busy catching up with this stuff, so hoping to finally start on that tonight. Very excited to check it out. And then we got Solo Leveling, as we mentioned. Season 1 is out in about a week. So that's got Blu-ray, DVD combo pack, standard and limited editions. And then I guess to round out the month, as we mentioned, Chainsaw Man. Despite how long it has been, it turns out Crunchyroll gave the home video rights to Viz for some reason, even though that all came after Crunchyroll and Funimation merged, and therefore Crunchyroll had all of their own home video infrastructure and no reason to sublicense anything. But for whatever reason, they gave it to Viz, which is why it took 3 years to get released, because that is what Viz does with everything. So you can finally buy the first season of Chainsaw Man. There are a couple different limited editions for that. One is like the kind of bulkier chipboard box, booklet kind of thing, and then the other is a steelbook, which is a Walmart exclusive, which is kind of gross. But frankly, it kind of looks better than the other limited edition and is cheaper. So pick your poison there, I guess. And there's probably a standard edition, but who cares about that?
That's right. Steelbook or nothing.
Yeah.
Rain or Kate, do you guys have any recommendations?
Nothing on my radar. So yeah, I'm good.
All right, cool. Kate, last call.
Nope. I think I'm good. I'm playing a game called Best Served Cold, which is a murder mystery game in the vein of it's mostly visual novel with some bartending where you're serving drinks to customers at a bar top, but you're also solving a mystery. So it's like light puzzle solving, sussing out, following conversation trees to get people to admit to crimes and whatever, find evidence. But it's very good. So if you like those type of games where you are mixing drinks and talking to bar people, like Valhalla or something along those lines, you could check that out.
Can you press X to doubt?
No, it's not quite, but you can put out a lot of questionable things and get people mad at you. It's set in a fictional Europe, but if they had prohibition in the 1930s, very speakeasy era, but fake Europe. So
Interesting. The most important part about the press X to doubt is that it has to give you absolutely no other information than if you just said that they were lying in the first place.
Oh god, that was the worst thing about that game. Is it's like, wait, that's not where I thought that line was going at all.
Yeah, it's an inherent flaw with a lot of those like one-word responses that the character is actually, says a whole paragraph of dialogue.
Yeah,
type things. Like the early Mass Effect games were like the first one was particularly bad about it.
This game, what you click on is what your character would respond, because there's no voice acting aside from the opening movie. So
that's true. That makes it much easier.
Yeah, so they just the full words are on the screen, so you can pick exactly what you mean to say to these people.
Indeed. All right, cool. Well, I guess the only thing I really have to recommend at this point is I just finished playing Expedition 33 and would recommend anybody who likes JRPGs to play it. Time really goes by quickly. Very, very well developed story with great acting, action, parry, dodge system in a turn-based game, which is somewhat unique. Very, very well done overall, and is probably going to be on many, many Game of the Year lists by the time December rolls around or whenever those start coming out. So it's very good, especially for those who are missing kind of good turn-based RPGs in today's game atmosphere when there aren't that many coming out, at least, from pseudo big studios and things. So yeah, definitely give that a shot. 100%. If you have Game Pass, I think that's how I played it, and it's just on there, so you don't even have to buy it individually if you already have it. Or if you've never had Game Pass, do that whole get a little trial of it and try it out yourself. But it's a lot of fun, so would definitely recommend that. But all right, cool. So then, with that being said, Kestrel, how about you let everyone know where they can find you and where they can find us?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at FullMetalKyoma, Blue Sky, Kestrel Swift, bsky.social. Yeah. And yeah, like I mentioned, I wrote a bunch of stuff from AX, an interview and coverage of those 4 panels. So you can check that out. Phantom Post. Find Phantom Post Radio wherever you find podcasts. Subscribe, rate, and review. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube Music, etc. The rest. Yeah. Oh, and social media, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Phantom Post Radio, phantompost.com. Email address is phantompostradio@gmail.com. Follow us, whatever. Tell your friends. Get in contact with us. Tell us your hot takes on Hideaki Anno.
Yes. Join us in the slander.
That's true. I hope everyone out there enjoyed his career while it lasted, because once this episode drops, it's over.
It's
So
over for
over.
him.
On over.
Ugh.
All right, we
I
gotta
had
wrap
to.
it up.
Getting to that point of the show.
All right, Bran, how about you?
Hellshake Brando on most of the socials. To Chris's displeasure, no reviews over at Phantom Post currently going on, but I'm here on the pod, so yeah, we should be back soon. So keep your ears open.
All right, and last but not least, Kate, how about yourself? Where you hanging out on the interwebs nowadays?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Sonic Bug. I am reviewing this season Secret of the Silent Witch, and also Ruri Rocks, if I can remember to actually crank out reviews every week.
Press X to doubt.
Yep, all the way. I'm already late on this week's. Woohoo! But yeah, that's where you can find me. Find my reviews on fandompost.com.
All right, awesome. Well, as always, we appreciate everyone listening. I hope you have a good start of this new season. I know it's jam-packed with lots of stuff, both here and also in Netflix jail, just waiting for us to take part in. So I'm sure there will be plenty of good shows to talk about. Maybe the classic, this show was supposed to be good, what happened? And lots of other fun things to discuss on the next episode and here moving forward. But until then, we'll talk to you later. So, thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye bye.